Hi, Gemma here from Calligraphy Gems. Welcome to my channel. Today is my first plan with me video since January, I believe. It's been a long time since I've created a plan with me video, and the reason for this is because I generally like to keep my journal to myself. I do have a video about how I'm able to keep up my journal all year round, and one of the reasons is that my journal is typically for personal use. I don't tend to share photos of it, it is just for me. And I think that helps keeps me creative and inspired. But December is different for me, and that is because it's kind of the end of the year. I'm feeling Christmassy and festive and get really into the spirit of creating things. And yeah, it just feels like a nice way to close off the year by doing a December plan with me. I think I've only done one previously, but to me it almost feels like it could be a tradition, like it's something that I do enjoy. And also December tends to be a month where I create additional spreads because it's Christmas and there's lots going on. So yeah, we're going to get stuck into creating a December journal setup. First up is the quote page. Now, I personally really struggle creating quotes using my calligraphy, and that's because a lot of the quotes that I find either tend to be really, really cheesy, have been done a million times, or they're by someone that I have no idea who they are and what the context is for them stating things, and it just makes me feel a bit weird about including quotes from people I don't really know. So this is a quote that I've created myself. It is, "Christmas is a unique season, one of both chaos and relaxation." And that definitely sums up every kind of Christmas period for me. I'm sure it's the same with lots of people, but in my household it's always just absolutely chaotic. But then after the chaos has passed, usually on Boxing Day when you get to sit down, it's just a time to relax and switch off. And I think for a lot of people it's the only time they have an extended period off work, and it's just a time to really take a breather to celebrate the end of the year. I've created it in a couple of different kind of font choices. So one is a more whimsical calligraphy style and one is a block lettering style. If anyone's interested in learning how to do block lettering, I actually have a workbook on my website. You can go check that out. I'll link it in the description. But I'm really pleased with my kind of whimsical calligraphy here. I think my calligraphy, sometimes it feels like it doesn't progress because I've been doing it for so long. But actually when I look at my calligraphy style compared to the year before, you can see it has improved and it has grown over the years. So I'm happy to see it in this format, and I'm really happy with how this quote turned out. In the corners I created a sparkle effect. Sparkles have been my favourite doodle ever this year. I think I learned how to do them last year and I've been doing them almost every month since in my journal. They're just a really nice way to fill out white space, and I guess it fit in with the theme of like Christmas and winter, like starry skies, and onto the next page, and that's kind of a monthly overview page. So I have a calendar that I've used from Kirsten Burke's book, which I'll link in the description. I've forgotten the name of it off the top of my head, but basically each month there's like a different project, and one of the months is a calendar, so I use the calendar from the book and stuck them into my journal each month. So I have the calendar stuck in. I wish I'd moved it slightly to the right, but once it was stuck down, it was a bit too late. Anyway, on the left hand side, I went from 1 to 31, and I'll just state things that are going on that day. Like a monthly overview page. When I add numbers to the calendar, I always try to create kind of more of a looser bounce calligraphy style, so that's what I've done when filling out the calendar in my journal this month. Underneath the calendar I've added like a wish list of things I would like to do this month. So the first one is for me to switch off from work kind of mid-December. I want to really enjoy this season and not be totally focused on my business. I mean, if I was working a normal 9 to 5, I would not be working during the Christmas period, so I shouldn't be doing that with my business either. The second one is to create an annual plan with me video. So I haven't been that great at recording YouTube videos lately, but I really want to record my annual plan with me. So this is kind of just my prompt and my motivation to create that. And then the last one is to walk somewhere that I've not walked before, like out in nature, maybe explore the Cotswolds a bit more. And yeah, it would just be a nice idea. There's obviously lots of things I like to do during the Christmas period, but these are kind of things that I don't typically do, so I've included them in my wish list. Moving over to the next page, I have created a festive list. So this is where I will add kind of the more Christmas focused activities. So films I want to watch, things I want to do during the festive period. And last year I broke it down into like music, films, activities, but this year I've kept it more general because some lists may be longer than others. So just having it on one page is an easy way to view it all. Then on the left side, I have done a gift and card tracker again, which I did last year as well. So the titles for all of these pages are again created in like a whimsical calligraphy style, which I am really liking. I've created the gift and card tracker in the same style that I created them last year. So on the left hand side, I've included all the names of people I want to either give a gift or a card to. And then above, and then I give each kind of action an initial. So on the gift tracker, it's DBAWG. So it's decided, bought, arrived, wrapped and gifted. On the card tracker, I realised I didn't include enough room to include the initials above, so instead I did them underneath. So that is decided, created, addressed and sent. It was also when creating this card tracker I realised I didn't include my sister on there, which I probably should have done, so I added my sister's name onto the list. And then for each column I create a dot, so this is a dot that will be filled throughout the season as I fill this out, and it's just a really kind of visually pleasing way of staying on top of your gifts and cards, because it can be very chaotic otherwise. So I really like this system, it worked well for me last year. Now in terms of decorating the page, I really did enjoy how the Christmas lights looked last year on the gift and card tracker, so I decided to do Christmas lights again, but this time I changed the style of them because my theme was black and silver. So instead of the traditional colours and shapes, I did a star shape Christmas lights, which turned out, let's say, a nightmare, because it's easy to create stars when they're facing upwards, but when you're creating them at different angles, it could be quite challenging. It doesn't seem like it should be, but for some reason my brain forgot how to create stars when they were at any different angle. So I ended up with some stars that were really oddly shaped, and it tended to get more chaotic the further down I got, maybe because this actually took me a long time. It may not look it when you're viewing it, but at this point it had been a while. So yeah, the further down I got, the more chaotic it seemed, and I wasn't sure whether to leave it as is or to try to fix it. I think as well at this point my camera died towards the end of this tracker, so the part where I attempted to fix it was off camera. So what I did is I created the stars to be a bit larger in some places. In some places I decided to leave it. Also, when I was trying to erase the pencil, I ended up smudging the gel pen and creasing the page. And then at one point I accidentally added a random silver line on the page, and it just felt chaotic when creating it. But it's interesting looking at it back. Like, it doesn't look as bad as it felt when I was creating it, especially like just an overall glance. I think people are drawn to the shimmeriness of the stars rather than the mistakes. So I think I was being a bit too harsh on myself when creating it, and I actually kind of like it when I don't examine it too closely. And I feel like I kind of set myself up for failure, because when I planned the weekly pages, I decided that week 1 was also going to be starry Christmas lights. So yes, I had to create even more, but this time thankfully they were all at the same angle, and they were to be created at the same angle I would used to be creating them at. So it was actually much more straightforward, and I much preferred the look of these lights compared to the last page. So in terms of how I actually create the weekly format for journaling purposes, I always do these kind of box style, I do these boxes on the left hand side using my brush pen, and they are so easy to create. I really recommend this format to people that can't be bothered to journal, in all honesty, because I used to create really fancy boxes, like drawing out with the ruler and pen, and it was just such a hassle, and it generally put me off journaling. Whilst this is so simple to create, it takes like a minute to maybe create a whole page's worth, so it's much more simple. And then something I've been doing the last couple of months is writing, but what am I feeling, on the right hand side in kind of the white space that's left. And the reason why I do this is because I often write about what's happening in my life, but not how I'm feeling about it. So this is a helpful prompt to get me thinking and actually using my journal for kind of more mental health purposes. And then because I don't normally have this much space on the right hand side page, I added a free space kind of title for me to add notes. Over the top of the left hand side boxes, I added the dates of the week, and then I usually do a summary. I usually write summary on the last box, but this time I added a star to fit in kind of with the theme. Onto the next page, I created the title and kind of the whimsical calligraphy style. I added the boxes as I did with week 1. And then in terms of decorating, I created like a very kind of easy style of pine tree. I think it's pine tree, the tall ones. That's such a dumb way to describe trees. Oh, the tall ones. But you can see what style I mean when you see them. So I created those using my black brush pen, and then I went over the top of them with silver. So once I got done filling out the boxes, I added silver to the trees, and this created kind of a shimmery snow-like effect, and I really liked how this looked. It's also a super simple doodle, and it definitely gives that kind of wintry feeling, because I would say that was more my theme this month, is winter rather than Christmas, like traditional Christmas. Then week 3, I created the header in kind of the similar calligraphy style that I've been doing throughout, and I wanted to create kind of like a nice foliage leaf style doodle, but I went a bit too abstract with it, so it ended up looking quite messy. Yeah, I wasn't totally pleased with this doodle, but you know what, mistakes happen and it doesn't matter that much. And then to go around the doodle, I used my silver gel pen just to add a few dots. I added the boxes as before, but I created them slightly bigger this time. So 5 boxes long is how big I usually create them, but for some reason I created them smaller on the last couple, so this is more in line with what I usually do. Yeah, and again, I had issues with my camera, but for some reason when my camera died this time, my phone was playing up. So my phone had frozen, and suddenly the music I was listening to in the background went full blast across the house. I have no idea why it did that. So when the camera cut out, I was like frantically running around trying to get the volume to turn down everywhere. So that was a fun experience. So when I was letting my phone kind of reset, I added a little bit in. So I added the phrase Winter Wonderland at the bottom, and I did a couple more of those like foliage doodles. Then on to week 4, I did a similar theme to what I did last year. So I did presents, but I wanted to shake it up from the traditional colours. So I did black and silver kind of gift wrap. And something I've been teaching this year is how to customise your own gifts using calligraphy. So I actually incorporated that into the doodles I created. So on the gift doodles, I wrote in calligraphy, and I was quite pleased with how this turned out. The silver gel pens are opaque enough that when you go over the black calligraphy, it does cover it successfully. So yeah, I was really pleased with how this looked actually. I think it was one of the first weeks in this planner with me that I actually really liked. Then on to week 5, very similar layout, same style of calligraphy header and boxes. But in terms of how I decorated this page differently, I created fireworks. And this is something I learned from Amanda Rachel Lee. I believe she did a Planner with Me video based on fireworks. But she did a how-to video on how to doodle fireworks. So definitely go check that out. They're really simple to create. I felt like they should be more complicated to draw than they are. The New Year is such an interesting holiday. I think you either have an amazing time or a bit of a crap time. The last few years I've been celebrating with friends. Obviously last year we couldn't socialise in person, but New Year is something I've come to really enjoy. I'm definitely someone that enjoys the process of a new year, a new start, setting resolutions. Some people are anti kind of New Year's resolutions, but I really enjoy them. So on the page I had some rooms, so I stated next year and the reason why I wrote this instead of next year's resolution is that it's kind of more open. So like next year I want to do this, or next year I will work towards improving this. So it's kind of a more open resolution style of question. And then the last couple of pages I simply did a December review and December faves. So December review is where I'll kind of write a summary of what the month was like, and then the December faves were everything I enjoyed from favourite TV shows to music to games. So I do the faves kind of every month, but December review is specific to December. So yeah, that was my first Planner with Me video in absolutely ages. I hope you enjoyed it. Here is the flip through. I think my favourite page is the quote page, and I did actually like how the starry kind of fairy lights appeared. I liked the one with trees, presents. Let me know which of the spreads was your favourite down below. I do plan to create the annual Planner with Me video, so if you're not subscribed, please do. I will be releasing that probably in the next week or so. And thank you for watching.